Okay, we're over halfway through Star Trek Con right now. We're at the 5th episode, and I believe there's going to be 9, not 10. And I wouldn't be surprised if the last 2 episodes are like bundled together, like they come out on the same day. The first 2 episodes came out on the same day, so it may work out that this is going to be like a 7-week venture. That's how I think of these things. I think of them in terms of how many weeks it's going to take to get through it. Like, I think of that like, okay, we're going into Strange New Worlds Season 3, 2 episodes bundled together on the same day, so now we're doing 9 weeks. Okay, so if this works out to be 7, great, 8, great, I don't know, it doesn't matter. But we're halfway through this season of reviewing Star Trek Con, and I usually like to take stock of what's happened here and consider how we're feeling about this whole, expedition into the world of Star Trek Con. Is this canon, by the way? Are we, considering this to be actually literally between Spacey and Wrath of Khan? I don't know. I kind of want to consider it. So far, nothing's happened that really triggers my, senses with regards to, whoa, this shouldn't be canon. I haven't really seen anything like that so far. But we're now getting into what feels like I can see the way stories are going. I feel like we're going into the second arc here where, okay, the fun times are over, and now it's time to get down and dirty with how things really go south. And hopefully that's not a reflection of the quality of the episodes. I want the story to go south really badly, not the enjoyment factor. It's not really much of a spoiler to say that this episode is the exact moment where SETI Alpha 5 is not nice anymore. Something happens. And there's this twist. I could not have predicted it. I never saw it coming. There's a twist with, and I won't spoil it because it's so incredible. You think it's going to be one way, but it's not. Something else happens. There's a wild card. You know that SETI Alpha 6 explodes, causes ecological disaster on the surface of SETI Alpha 5. That's not a spoiler. But what you don't know is that we have an uninvited guest. On SETI Alpha 5. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you guessed it. I didn't see this coming. And it was pretty scary because we're essentially having a story here about humans. And they're not just any humans, and I'm not talking about them being augmented. I'm talking about them being humans from the near future in Earth. World War III, that's, in their timeline, say. That wouldn't be far away, or if we're in the TOS timeline, it's already happened. But consider what that means. We are seeing humanity a lot more close to as we know it now, with the technology a lot more close to what we have now, contending with a new unknown in this episode. And it was quite spooky when it happened. And needless to say, I was on the edge of my seat and I did not know what was going to happen. And it works out in a way that is scary for the listener. Key word on listener. What am I talking about? A visual medium, say, I keep bringing up Strange New Worlds because it was just recent, but the last season of that, you have visuals, and you're trying to communicate things entirely visually if you can. Of course, sound is always a factor, but when sound is your main medium for getting across your idea and for the plot, you can do something like we just did in the most recent episode of Star Trek Con. Our enemies are making us feel what the characters are feeling through auditory stimulation. I'll leave it at that, but imagine that to get truly involved in the story as a listener, you can, and if you have the right listening gear, you can feel what they're feeling. Okay? I'll put it that way. And it is really an incredible use of the medium, just being audio, to have such a rich soundscape, but also get the fear and the pain in your mind. It's like method acting, where we're going into this not necessarily acting on the fly. We're putting ourselves through the rigor of this character and then allowing the chips to fall where they may. We're doing it, but with audio, and we're doing it with the listener. I was going to say viewer, but it's the listener here. And on another note, if that didn't get you interested enough, we do see more from George Takei, from Tim Russ in obviously Sulu and Tuvok on the Excelsior, and I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop on this. I'm waiting for like the second half of this plot to take place in the present. The present in Star Trek Con is, as I said, on the Excelsior. Past the events of Wrath of Khan, and I'm waiting for that story to really take off. I have been forgetting, as I listen to this, that the plot of Khan takes place nestled in the plot of somebody discovering the historical records left behind on SETI Alpha 5, and they're listening to it on the Excelsior. I forget that because I'm so wrapped up in what's going on in SETI Alpha 5. I'm waiting to be jostled out of that and shown more plot on the Excelsior. I'm waiting for the Excelsior to do something cool. We're halfway through. It hasn't really done anything yet, apart from one little thing that I won't get into. But I'm waiting to see what happens here. And the plot, just purely on dialogue and what's happening, the character who is investigating these historical records, like I said before, they're opening up the can of worms with a conspiracy kind of against Captain Kirk somehow. I mean, George Takei in Sulu is not having it. Like, do you have a dog in this race? Do you have a conclusion that you're trying to get to before you even started? Oh, I'm just looking for the truth. Trying to prove that Captain Kirk could have somehow known that SETI Alpha 6 was unstable. I believe Sulu even brings up the records from the Enterprise showing that there was a minor instability in the core of SETI Alpha 6, and there's no way that it was going to happen this fast and say a few months into Khan's tenure on that planet. There's no way they could have known, and I can just tell. I don't know. I don't love this reporter character. I call her a reporter, but she's a historian or something. She's trying to get to the truth, right? Isn't that what everyone's trying to do, right? Wink, wink. And I'm waiting to see the other shoe drop on that, to see how this story changes. And Sulu is not having it. Sulu is saying, listen, Khan is bad. I'm glad he's gone. As you would expect. I guess we're driving home this idea that listening to Khan's own records he made himself versus seeing what Khan does in reality are not the exact same two things. And everybody has a vision of themselves. They have the idea of them. They have their own idea of themselves, or superego, right? And then they have the ego, and then the id, and there's just three layers of people. And I'm not particularly too keen on seeing Khan's, inner self that will come out in times of desperation, as it comes out in this episode. You can see like freaky, scary Khan showing up here, and it's just an interesting tale to see how one becomes the other, to see how charismatic friend, leader, father figure Khan is also like scary, I don't want to be around this person Khan, right? And I think we're getting into that. We are getting into like the I want to say this is like the beginning of part 2 for Star Trek Con. That's what it feels like. And anyway, if that doesn't entice you, if that doesn't if that isn't a tasty appetizer for you, I don't know what is. I would like to see the Excelsior do more. I want to just nip it in the bud, this whole thing with SETI Alpha 6 and did Kirk know? Can we put that to bed? I wonder if this series will be a success if we can put the SETI Alpha 6 question to bed, and if we can if we can say at the end of this that Khan is still the bad guy we knew. I don't want to recontextualize entirely our conclusion towards Khan because we know him as a villain, right? It should end that way, but it should answer once and for all the SETI Alpha 6 question. If we can do those two things, this is going to be a real banger of a show. And it had, episode by episode, it has been, being honest with you. And there's only been kind of one episode that's kind of boring. That's it. They're all interesting. And they're only half an hour long. You wouldn't think it. You would listen to these and think you've been listening for 3 hours. Anyway, I hope this video didn't feel like you were listening for 3 hours, because I'm Lieutenant Merrick, and I'm going to see you next time. We're going to be looking at Star Trek Khan. Are you watching it? I mean listening? You better be. So long.